All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to try to get to two more before we got a couple votes on the floor. So the chairman of the committee is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Cole, a couple of areas. Would you agree that it would be wrong to continue an investigation for any length of time if there isn't a smidgen of evidence of wrongdoing?
If you've completed the investigation and you have satisfied yourself that there is no wrongdoing in the investigation, then the investigation is done.
That wasn't my question, General Cole. My question was, if you begin an investigation and you go through weeks, months, now basically a year, and you do not have a smidgen of evidence of a crime, is it appropriate to continue spending taxpayer dollars?
It depends on whether you think there is a chance that you may find additional evidence of crime.
So, Mr. Cole, General Cole, you have an ongoing investigation. It has been going on now for a year. You have confirmed an ongoing investigation. So it is appropriate to say that your answer is that there either has to be evidence of a crime or a belief by your investigators that there is, in fact, a crime that has been committed that you are investigating. Isn't that correct?
There has to be a belief that there is still evidence that is necessary to be looked at to determine whether or not a criminal statute has been violated.
Mr. Cole, I really appreciate your dodging on behalf of decorum, but
not dodging.
My question needs to be answered.
The purpose
You cannot spend taxpayer dollars if you do not have a belief that it's going to lead to a crime. That would be a frivolous investigation at some point, wouldn't it? You continue looking for crimes for years on innocent people when, in fact, there isn't a smidgen of evidence. Do you continue looking at somebody for criminal investigation for months or years without any evidence just because you, in the long run, think it might happen?
You start investigations based on an...
No, that was a yes or no, General Cole. It really is. Do you do that? I outlined a rather repugnant accusation that the minority has made about this chair and this committee, that we're continuing to investigate wrongdoing by the IRS, both in Cincinnati and particularly in Washington, led by Lois Lerner. We continue to investigate it because we believe, and Ways and Means has referred to you, criminal allegations. Do you continue to investigate? If not, we're not talking about whether or not you're going to get a successful prosecution, a conviction. We understand that all of that, sometimes you go for years and you never get, like organized crime, you don't necessarily get a conviction. You don't get what you need. But would you continue investigating as you have if you did not have, if your investigators did not have a belief that a wrongdoing had occurred for which you were trying to build a case? And please, that's a yes or no.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, it's not quite a yes or no.
Oh, yes, it is, and we're going to have this conversation. Would you continue to take people's time, money, force them to get attorneys, investigate, subpoena, grab information, interview people? Would you do that if you did not have a belief that there was a possibility of a crime and one that you thought worth investigating? Would you do that?
Can I give you my answer, and then you can always follow up? And
you could give me a yes or no, and then you could further explain. That's your boss, the Attorney General, is a bad witness. Please don't be a bad witness.
I'm trying not to be a bad witness.
Okay,
but not
that was a question.
Yes or no.
Mr. Cole, that was a question that you could answer yes or no. Would you continue to investigate people without a smidgen of evidence? Would you continue to spend the taxpayer dollars when, in fact, there was no reasonable belief that a crime had been committed?
Sometimes you investigate to ensure that you have evidence that one wasn't committed.
So you could be,
whether one was committed.
Mr. Cole, that means that you could be spending the time and money trying to prove that Lois Lerner is innocent and that this committee was wrong in accusing her. You could be doing that.
We're not trying to prove anything.
I didn't ask what you were trying to do. I asked
We're trying to find out what the facts are and determine whether
or not
there is action.
Let me get to my obligation to try to get to the facts. I issued you a lawful, constitutionally mandated subpoena. I issued a subpoena to the Attorney General, and in it we asked for all documents and communications between Lois Lerner and employees of the Department of Justice. You responded and said, we also have not included documents reflecting the Department's internal deliberations about law enforcement matters, fine, in which we have substantial confidential interests because we believe that the disclosures would chill candid exchange of interviews that are important to sound decision-making. You recognize those words? Mr. Peter Kazak, sitting behind you, could shake his head. Yes, he signed the letter.
That's a standard policy of the Justice
Okay,
Department.
so I just want to make it clear. The standard policy of the Department of Justice is you don't give us the Q&A of your interviews because it could have a chilling effect on or adversely affect your ongoing investigations. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. I just wanted to make sure we understood that was what good investigations do.